Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! On a Tuesday, as Caden sorted through the mail, a peculiar envelope caught his eye. It shimmered, almost gaudy, leaving a trail of glitter wherever it went. As he carefully opened the envelope, a glitter bomb exploded, covering his fingertips and the kitchen counter. With a sigh, he brushed off the excess, more resilient confetti clinging to the card's surface. The invitation, in lavish cursive, read, "Embark on a celebration, Michelle's 30 thrilling extravaganza." Curiosity sparked in his eyes as he read further. "Unleash your creativity and embrace the glam. Dress code, astonish and amaze. Glitz and glamour mandatory." Slightly overwhelmed, he ran his hand through his sun-kissed locks. Michelle, his childhood companion, had always brought excitement to their lives, but this request seemed extraordinary. Maybe I'll just come as moral support? Michelle's reply came almost immediately. "Absolutely not. Everyone participates. Don't worry, I'll help with your makeup. Come over at 5 on Saturday. The party starts at 8. Caden stared at his phone. His cousin was nothing if not persistent. They'd always been close, even after Michelle moved to the city to pursue her career in fashion design. She returned to their suburban hometown often, and they made a point of getting together whenever possible. His phone buzzed again. "Please, it would mean so much to have you there properly participating. I promise to make you look amazing." He sighed, thumbs hovering over the keyboard before typing. Fine, but nothing too outrageous. The week crawled by, anxiety building with each passing day. By Saturday morning, Caden was seriously considering coming down with a sudden illness, but the thought of disappointing Michelle kept him from backing out. At 4:45, he found himself standing on her porch, wearing comfortable clothes as instructed, and carrying a small duffel bag containing the outfit they'd agreed on via text. A red sequined dress Michelle had in her collection from a previous fashion show. "You came!" Michelle threw open the door, already halfway through her own transformation. Her normally brown hair was hidden beneath a towering platinum wig, her face contoured to dramatic perfection. "Didn't have much choice, did I?" Caden stepped inside, trying to ignore the flutter of nervousness in his stomach. Michelle's apartment looked like a beauty supply store had exploded. Makeup products covered every surface of her normally pristine living room, and several outfits hung from a portable clothing rack. "Sit," she commanded, pointing to a chair she'd positioned in front of her largest mirror. "We have work to do." Caden lowered himself into the seat, watching as Michelle circled him with a critical eye. "Have you thought about what name you'll use tonight?" He hadn't considered this aspect. "Do I need a different name?" "Of course. Everyone needs a drag persona." Michelle tapped a finger against her lips. "Something elegant, but with a bit of sass." "You pick. This is your territory, not mine." Michelle's face lit up. "Rosalie, it's perfect for you. Classic, but not stuffy." "Rosalie," Caden repeated, testing the name. It felt strange in his mouth, foreign yet somehow not entirely uncomfortable. "Now, let's get started. Close your eyes." For the next 2 hours, Caden sat obediently as Michelle worked her magic. He felt the press of brushes against his skin, the strange sensation of false eyelashes being applied, the tacky texture of lip gloss. Michelle chattered throughout the process, explaining techniques he immediately forgot and reminiscing about their childhood adventures. "Do you remember when we stole your mom's makeup and I gave you that horrible makeover when we were 10? Michelle laughed, as she blended something along his cheekbone. How could I forget? My mother was horrified. Not because I was wearing makeup, but because you made me look like a circus clown. Well, I've improved since then, I promise. Michelle stepped back, examining her work. Almost done with the face. The foundation really evened out your skin tone, and the contouring has given you such gorgeous cheekbones. The gold eyeshadow brings out the flecks in your eyes perfectly. Caden kept his eyes closed, trying to ignore the weight of the false lashes. How much longer? Patience. Art takes time. Michelle applied something cool and wet to his lips. Press your lips together. Perfect. Now for the wig. The sensation of the wig cap and then the wig itself was strange. A sudden weight and warmth around his head. Michelle spent several minutes adjusting it, tugging gently and securing it with pins. Can I look yet? Not until we're completely finished. Let's get you dressed first. The dress was a struggle. The sequined fabric had no stretch, and Caden's shoulders were broader than Michelle had estimated. After some creative adjustments and the addition of a shawl to disguise the partially open zipper in the back, Michelle pronounced the outfit complete. Shoes next. She presented a pair of red strappy heels that matched the dress perfectly. Caden balked. I'll break my neck. They're only 3 inches, and you'll mostly be sitting. Plus, they complete the look. Michelle's tone left no room for argument. Once he was fully outfitted, including elbow-length red gloves to disguise those masculine hands, Michelle guided him to stand in front of the full-length mirror. Open your eyes. Meet Rosalie. Caden slowly opened his eyes, blinking against the unfamiliar weight of the false lashes. The person staring back from the mirror was unrecognizable. His angular face had been transformed with strategic contouring and highlighting, creating the illusion of softer features. His eyes looked enormous, framed by dramatic lashes and shimmering gold eyeshadow that caught the light when he moved. His lips were overlined and painted a deep ruby red that matched the dress perfectly. The blonde wig fell in soft waves past his shoulders, the color slightly lighter than his natural hair, but somehow looking completely natural against his skin. The dress hugged curves he didn't naturally possess. Michelle had added strategic padding, and the overall effect was stunning. I don't... Caden started, his voice failing him. You look incredible, Michelle finished for him, beaming with pride. Honestly, you make a gorgeous woman. Those cheekbones were made for this. Caden turned slightly, watching as the sequins caught the light. Something strange and unexpected was happening inside him, a warmth that felt like recognition, like finding something long misplaced. I would never have recognized myself, he finally managed. That's the point. Tonight you get to be someone completely different. Michelle adjusted one of his wig curls. How does it feel? Weird, but not bad weird. Caden struggled to articulate the complex emotions swirling through him. Different weird. Different good or different bad? He considered the question, studying his reflection. Different. Interesting. Michelle grinned. That's the spirit. Now let's practice walking in those heels before everyone arrives. The party was held in the event space above Michelle's favorite restaurant. 30 guests in various states of drag transformation filled the room, music pulsing through speakers as colorful lights swept across the crowd. Caden, now fully embodying Rosalie, stuck close to Michelle initially, accepting compliments with awkward thanks and trying not to trip in the heels that felt increasingly precarious after his 3rd glass of wine. Who's your gorgeous friend, Michelle? A tall person in an elaborate peacock-themed ensemble approached, eyes appraising Rosalie appreciatively. This is my cousin Rosalie, making her drag debut tonight, Michelle announced proudly. Cousin? Really? The stranger looked between them. The family genetics must be incredible. You're a natural, honey. Before Rosalie could respond, another guest joined the conversation. First time, I would never have guessed. That blend on your crease is seamless. The compliments continued throughout the evening, each one chipping away at Rosalie's initial discomfort. By midnight, she found herself in the center of the dance floor, the earlier awkwardness replaced by a strange confidence that seemed to come from somewhere outside herself, or perhaps from a part of herself she'd never accessed before. You're the hit of the party, Michelle whispered as they took a break near the bar. Everyone keeps asking about you. Rosalie sipped her water, conscious of maintaining her lipstick. They're just being nice. No, they're being honest. You look incredible, and you've got this presence. I have never seen you so comfortable in your skin. The observation landed with unexpected weight. Comfortable in her skin. Was that what this floating feeling was? Rosalie considered the sensation, this strange lightness that had replaced her usual self-consciousness. I'm just playing a role, she said, though the words felt hollow even as she spoke them. Michelle gave her a knowing look, but didn't press the issue. Well, whatever it is, it suits you. At 2 a.m., as the party wound down, Michelle insisted on taking dozens of photos to commemorate Rosalie's debut. Looking at the images on Michelle's phone, Rosalie hardly recognized herself, not just because of the makeup and outfit, but because of the relaxed smile and confident posture of the person in the pictures. Send those to me, she requested before she could overthink it. Michelle raised an eyebrow, but nodded. All of them? Yes, all of them. The transformation back into Caden happened in Michelle's bathroom, a process that felt strangely like loss. The makeup came off in oily streaks, revealing the familiar planes of his face. The wig was removed, the dress exchanged for jeans and a button-down shirt, the heels replaced with comfortable sneakers. You can keep the makeup-removing wipes and the lip balm, Michelle offered as Caden gathered his things. Your lips will be dry tomorrow from all that lipstick. Thanks for everything. Caden hesitated by the door. It was more fun than I expected. Michelle studied him with unusual seriousness. You know, if you ever wanted to explore this more, I'd be happy to help. No pressure, no big production. Just if you're curious. The offer hung in the air between them, weighted with implications neither of them fully articulated. I'll think about it, Caden finally replied, surprised to realize he meant it. 3 weeks passed before Caden texted Michelle. Is that offer still open? She responded immediately. Always. What are you thinking? Something more. Every day. Less dramatic. He hesitated before adding, just to see. They arranged to meet the following weekend. This time, Michelle's apartment was less chaotic, the makeup more carefully curated. I thought we'd try a natural look, she explained, as Caden settled into the now familiar chair. Something you could do yourself with some practice. Everyday feminine rather than stage drama. The process was similar but more subtle. A lighter foundation, cream blush instead of powder, brown eyeliner instead of black, a neutral lip color that enhanced rather than redefined his mouth. The wig was different too, the same blonde shade but styled in a simple shoulder-length cut with subtle layers. This feels different. Rosalie examined her reflection, taking in the softer, more natural appearance. The person in the mirror could easily blend into a crowd, drawing no more attention than any other woman running errands or meeting friends for coffee. Different good? Michelle asked, adjusting the wig slightly. Different real, Rosalie replied, the truth of it surprising her. Like someone I might actually be, not just a character for a party. Michelle's expression was carefully neutral. Want to try some clothes? I bought a few things that might fit better than the party dress. More everyday options. The jeans were snug but comfortable. The sweater soft and slightly oversized in a pale blue that complemented Rosalie's coloring. Simple flats replaced the precarious heels from the party. What do you think? Michelle asked after Rosalie had examined herself from several angles. I think I'd like to go outside like this. The words emerged before Rosalie had fully processed the desire, but once spoken, they cemented into certainty. Michelle's eyes widened slightly, but she recovered quickly. Sure. Where do you want to go? Somewhere no one knows me. Just to walk around, maybe get coffee. They drove 30 minutes to a neighborhood on the other side of the city, a place with trendy cafes and small boutiques where neither of them had connections. Rosalie's heart pounded as they parked and prepared to exit the car. Remember, confidence is half the presentation, Michelle advised. Walk like you belong, and most people won't look twice. The first few steps on the sidewalk were terrifying, each passing stranger a potential source of judgment or confrontation. But as minutes passed without incident, Rosalie's breathing steadied. They browsed a bookstore, the employee offering a casual, "Let me know if you need help, ladies," before returning to shelving. They ordered coffee, the barista asking for names for the order and writing Rosalie on the cup without a second glance. This is... Rosalie began as they sat at a small table by the window. Anticlimactic? Michelle suggested with a smile. Liberating, Rosalie corrected. No one cares. No one's looking at me weird or questioning anything. People are generally too wrapped up in their own lives to scrutinize strangers, Michelle pointed out. Plus, you look good. Natural. The makeup enhances instead of masks. Rosalie sipped her coffee, watching people pass by outside the window. Could you teach me? The makeup, I mean, so I could do it myself. Michelle's expression revealed nothing of her thoughts. Of course. Whenever you want. The lessons began the following week. First with skincare. The foundation of good makeup is good skin. Then foundation application, basic eye techniques, blush placement, and finally lips. Rosalie proved to be an attentive student, her initial clumsiness giving way to surprising dexterity as weeks passed. You've got a better hand for eyeliner than I do, Michelle complained good-naturedly as she watched Rosalie create a perfect winged line. It took me years to master that. Rosalie smiled, the expression coming more naturally now. I have a good teacher. The weekend excursions continued and expanded. Coffee shops became restaurants. Browsing became shopping for clothes that properly fit Rosalie's frame. Quiet neighborhoods became busier downtown areas. With each outing, her confidence grew, the initial terror fading to mild anxiety and then to something approaching comfort. I've been thinking, Rosalie said one evening as they shared dinner at a small Italian restaurant. She wore a simple black dress with a cardigan, her makeup subtle but effective, her blonde hair framing her face in soft waves. About telling a few people, close friends maybe. Michelle set down her fork. That's a big step. I know, but this, Rosalie gestured to herself, doesn't feel like a costume anymore, or even an experiment. It feels like me.
Have you thought about what that means? Long term?
Rosalie had thought of little else for months. I think it means I've been living in the wrong skin for 32 years, and now I've found the right one. Michelle reached across the table, squeezing her hand.
I'm here for whatever comes next. Whatever you need.
The first friend Rosalie told was Marcus, a college roommate who had remained close despite moving to opposite coasts for several years. They met for lunch, Rosalie presenting as Caden for what she privately considered the last time. There's something I need to tell you, she began after they'd ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Something important about who I am. Marcus listened without interruption as Rosalie explained her journey, from Michelle's party to her growing realization that Rosalie wasn't a character but her authentic self. So, she concluded, I'm transitioning, socially for now, with other steps to follow when I'm ready. My name is Rosalie, and I'm a woman. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his expression thoughtful.
Thank you for trusting me with this,
he finally said.
How can I support you?
The simple acceptance brought tears to Rosalie's eyes. Just use my name, my real name, and female pronouns. That's enough for now.
Done,
Marcus said firmly.
When do I get to meet Rosalie properly?
The meeting happened the following weekend. Rosalie dressed in dark jeans and a cream-colored blouse, her blonde hair loose around her shoulders. Marcus did a double-take when she approached his table at the restaurant, then broke into a warm smile.
Rosalie,
he said, standing to greet her with a hug.
You look beautiful.
Thank you for being okay with this, she replied, the knot of tension in her chest loosening at his easy acceptance. Why wouldn't I be? You're still you, just more authentically you. Other friends followed, most with similar reactions of support, though a few needed time to adjust. Rosalie's parents were a more complicated hurdle, one she approached with careful preparation, and Michelle's unwavering support. We love you no matter what, her mother said after the difficult conversation, her eyes wet, but her voice firm. It will take time for us to understand completely, but never doubt that. Her father was quieter, but squeezed her hand tightly.
You've always been special. Now we know why.
6 months after Michelle's birthday party, Rosalie took the final step in her social transition, updating her social media accounts with her new name and a simple post. Some of you know this already, but for those who don't, I'm Rosalie now. This is who I've always been, even when I didn't have the words for it. Thank you to everyone who has supported this journey. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with only a few confused messages requiring explanation and one distant relative whose disapproval Rosalie had anticipated and decided not to engage with. How does it feel? Michelle asked as they celebrated with takeout and wine in Rosalie's apartment, now redecorated to reflect its owner's true identity. Being fully out in the world as yourself? Rosalie considered the question, running a hand through her blonde hair, now grown out from her natural color and professionally styled into the layered cut she'd first tried as a wig. Like I've been holding my breath underwater for decades and finally reached the surface. I'm so proud of you, Michelle said, raising her glass. To Rosalie, the woman you were always meant to be, Rosalie clinked her glass against her cousin's, smiling as she caught sight of her reflection in the window, confident, authentic, at peace. To finding myself in the last place I expected to look. A year to the day after Michelle's drag party, Rosalie hosted a gathering of her own, a rebirthday celebration with her closest friends and family. The apartment was decorated with tasteful flowers and soft lighting, the food catered from her favorite restaurant, the wine flowing freely as people mingled and laughed. Midway through the evening, Michelle clinked a fork against her glass, drawing everyone's attention. "I'd like to make a toast," she announced. "1 year ago, I bullied my favorite cousin into attending my birthday party in drag." Appreciative chuckles rippled through the room. "I had no idea that night would be the catalyst for Rosalie finding her true self. Sometimes the greatest gifts come disguised as sequined dresses and false eyelashes." Laughter filled the room as glasses were raised. Rosalie felt a warm glow of contentment as she looked around at the people who had supported her journey. Some from the beginning, others joining along the way, all accepting her for who she truly was. Later, as guests began to depart, Michelle pulled her aside. "I have something for you." She pressed a small box into Rosalie's hand. A rebirthday present. Inside was a delicate gold necklace with a small pendant, a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis. Rosalie's throat tightened with emotion. "It's perfect," she whispered, immediately fastening it around her neck. "I thought it was appropriate." Michelle touched the pendant gently. "You emerged so beautifully." As the last guests departed and Rosalie began tidying up, she caught sight of herself in the mirror above her sideboard. Blonde hair tucked behind one ear, the butterfly pendant gleaming at her throat, her face relaxed and happy in a way that still sometimes surprised her. The woman in the reflection smiled back, no longer a stranger or a character, but simply herself, Rosalie, complete and whole. She touched the butterfly pendant, thinking of the journey that had brought her here, from reluctant participant in a cousin's birthday celebration to a woman fully inhabiting her truth. The invitation that had once seemed like an inconvenience had become the most precious gift. Not just Michelle's makeup skills or fashion advice, but her unwavering support that created the safe space Rosalie needed to discover herself. The transformation hadn't been instantaneous or magical. It had required courage, patience, difficult conversations, and occasional setbacks. But standing in her apartment, surrounded by the evidence of the life she was building as her authentic self, Rosalie knew with absolute certainty that every challenge had been worth it. She picked up her phone, sending a quick message to Michelle. "Thank you for helping me find my wings." The reply came moments later. "They were always yours. I just showed you how to use them." Rosalie smiled, setting down her phone and returning to the pleasant task of arranging the bouquets guests had brought, each one a celebration of her journey and the road still ahead. A road she would walk as herself, finally and completely. Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!